Hey there, I am back with another one, because as always I speak too soon. Blaster Master 03 analysis number 7, let's go. Hopefully this one won't be another 30 minutes though. Anyway, we got a new trailer thanks to the recent Japanese livestream. Of course there is obvious story implications in this trailer, but there is a lot of blink and you'll miss it gameplay details snuggled in there as well. So let's not dilly-dally then, here we go. The very first scene in the trailer has us see Eve next to an alternate dimension portal, with a crack down the center. What I can say for sure is, it does look like Eve is indeed stuck in the alternate dimension, as I called way back in the very first analysis. This is followed up by a close-up shot of Jason, a scene that is completed at the end of the trailer, when he activates his XL charger without his helmet on. I don't know why he would do that. And we watch on as his hair turns pure white with orange accents, complete with the blue veins on his cheek. What is this? Trails of cold steel? Jokes aside, hey yo! Did I call it or did I call it? Way back in the first analysis when I was looking at the key art, I did point out the blue veins on his cheek, the way that half his body is corrupted. Of course, back then I gave a whole spiel about how Jason may be fighting against a dark force within himself. I mean, maybe? But who knows, maybe his hair always just turns white whenever he goes into the alternate dimension with the XL charger. We just never see it because he has a helmet on. That said, he does give a foreboding aura when he opens his eyes, doesn't he? And hey, you know something else? Doesn't Lemnis also have some white and silver hair going on? Looking a little more like him, wouldn't you say? As for the context of the scene though, we don't have any right now. But more than likely this takes place at a critical moment in the story. Is Jason getting corrupted here? Is this Jason making a last stand against the final boss or something? Is he about to chase Eve through the alternate dimension in a desperate attempt to get her back? It's hard to say, but like I said in the first analysis, when I saw that key art, I just knew something like this was going to happen to Jason. Man, this game's going to be good. The last story related thing we see is Eve inside a pod of some kind. Is this where they created the Eve clones? Guess we'll have to find out. Alright, believe it or not, that's all for the story speculation for one day though. Now it's on to the gameplay, which has some pretty neat stuff. So they show some new gameplay, including what looks like it could be Area 3 of the game. And in this alternate dimension shot where Jason is fighting a bunch of foes at once, we get to see the debut of a new shield blast counter, which reflects enemy shots. Perhaps this is meant to replace the shield gun that Jason usually had in the last two games. We also get to see the new melee blast counter in action that was available in the demo. I didn't explain that before, but how this one works is when Jason takes a hit, he can chain multiple attacks to clear out rows of enemies. I also neglected to mention this because I was going to save it for the review, but blast counters this time around are contextual, rather than forcing you to manually change between the different types like you did in BMZ2. A nice quality of life change indeed. You have blast counters that activate far away, up close, and the shield. That way Jason is able to counter any situation he's in. Anyway, we move on through the trailer showing some new and old enemies at once, until we come to this fight with Zavira heads, and we get to see what looks like a new boomerang type attack. Now I can't tell if this is a new gun, a sub-weapon, or a blast counter, but I don't think it's a blast counter because it spawns on the field slightly before Jason activates his melee blast counter. My guess is it's a new sub-weapon. We just don't see the icon for it because the player put it on one of the shortcut buttons. Next is a new type of main shot for the G Sophia, which is a flaming piercing round that just goes straight through enemies and terrain. Like the G-Shot Crusher Plus, this one consumes your orange gauge as well. In the following scene, we find ourselves in a new area. Some kind of factory or sewage plant that is filled with poisonous swamps. Perhaps this is Area 3? Heading on over to the alternate dimension also reveals a mountain-like structure in the background. Actually reminds me a little bit of The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening. More importantly, however, we have a new sub-weapon. This sub-weapon is just like Mega Man 11's Scrambled Thunder, sending lightning across the ground and ceiling. Sorry Fuse Man, gotta borrow your weapon. Boy, wouldn't this be nice for the King Gardner fight earlier. Oh, and it looks like pitch dark areas from BMZ 1 returned, and you'll have to use this new sub-weapon in order to light the area. Now here is the Area 2 boss fight again, but in an entirely different area than we found it in the demo. If you take a look around, the area really gives you an Area Omega vibe, doesn't it? Especially with the mutant-like aesthetics everywhere. Could we be looking at the obligatory boss rematch at the end of the game right here? Maybe so. In the second phase of the fight, we have a new sub-weapon icon for the G Sophia. This one looks a bit like the water bind from the Andrea. Players of Blaster Master 02 will remember that nifty little sub-weapon, which allowed you to encase enemies into bubbles. You could then use them for platforming. The sub-weapon icon isn't a complete match with the BMZ2 counterpart, but it's close enough. I have no other ideas about that one. So are we going to get the Andrea's signature sub-weapon during our adventure? Guess we'll have to find out. But hey, forget old bosses, how about some new ones? Here's the boss for what I've been calling Area 3, a giant worm, which in this scene just circles around Jason until he whips it into shape. In this first phase, we have a new sub-weapon icon for Jason, but it's hard to say what exactly it is or what it does. Unless this is the boomerang-like attack that we saw earlier. Hopping on over to the second phase on the G Sophia then, as the boss scurries around on and off screen, shooting some electric bolts at you along the way. Maybe this is where we get that scrambled thunder attack from, but who knows. What I can say for sure though is that looks like a new sub-weapon icon up there, and judging from how it looks, that might be the replacement for the Burn Spark or the Dash-like sub-weapons from the last two games. And that is my notes for this new Blaster Master 03 trailer. We're officially a month away from the game's release, but the news ain't slowing down. And as long as there is news, I'm gonna keep coming back to talk about this game. Hope you enjoyed my look at the trailer in the meantime. Like I said, this game is going to be insane. Can't wait to try this game out in just a few short weeks, but in the meantime, thank you for watching. Stay tuned to ShadowRockZX for all things Blaster Master Zero, including our continuing coverage and my upcoming reviews for all 3 games in the series. Oh, and all things Mega Man and Intika raids as well. Thank you to all of our ShadowRockZX channel members, including GA class supporters LML123, Ray Stinger, Adrian Cauldron, Vince Crystal, Rose Maverick Saiyan, Rico Syndrome, and Austin Buford. Thank you once again for making our content possible, and I'll see you in the next one. Until then, rock on, and have yourselves a great day or night.